Always Patsy Cline, it's a memory play. Of course, there's Crazy and Walkin After Midnight and all of these different songs that are iconic and we know, but we also sort of get this sneak peek and this personalization of how her friend viewed her. My name is Benji Kern. I am the interim artistic director at Studio Tenn Theater Company and the director of Studio Tenn's production of Always Patsy Cline. One of the things that is important with these types of shows is it's never an impersonation. I was very lucky to do the national tour of I Love Lucy for 2 years, and something that I learned that when you do these vintage and nostalgic shows is if you try to do an impersonation, if that is the direction you go, you're always gonna fall short in some way because everybody has their idea of who these icons are. But if you present a loving interpretation and a romanticized idea of what that is based in everything that we know in that character, it sort of not only refreshes it, but it makes it even more special.
I was first introduced to her by my mom and grandmother when I was really little, and I remember thinking that the cover of the album that they showed me, which was a greatest hits album, looked really lame. And so I kind of thought, I'm not gonna like this, and the instant the record started playing, even though I was a little kid, I thought, my God, this is an unbelievable talent. My name's Megan Murphy Chambers, and I'm playing Patsy Cline in Studio Tenn's production of Always Patsy Cline. You listen to her, and it doesn't sound like anybody has done anything to try to make it better. And I think that's why it resonates with people, is it sounds like it's coming from like the soles of her feet all the way up through her body in this incredibly passionate and incredibly real way. This show feels kind of like a scrapbook because it's being told from the perspective of a good friend of Patsy's, Louise Seger. And so it's kind of a snapshot of a particular period of time during which they met each other and became friends and became pen pals before Patsy died.
She started out as a fan and eventually became a pen pal with Patsy. So being able to look at her story, her biography through that lens of a friend versus just some narrator or family member, but really that gal pal who's sort of guiding us through this journey is really important.
Louise is a Texas divorcee who I believe is just kind of a super fan of Patsy Cline, and I think never really probably thought she would ever meet her. And so we see the story of this friendship unfold as she gets to basically meet her hero. My name is Melody Madden Adams, and I am playing Louise Seger in Studio Tenn's production of Always Patsy Cline. I want it to feel authentic and genuine. I want it to be a story of friendship, and I don't want it to be something that is just campy or that comes across as an act. I think there's a really sweet story of someone who has inspired another person and their friendship out of that.
For me, it's been about trying to find both footage of her and of course recordings of her doing her thing, but also trying to find a lot of source material for what the people that were in her life said about her. I am not trying to do an impression, what a fool's errand that would be. Instead, I'm trying to honor who she was, honor her memory, while making it feel as fresh and accessible and new for our audiences today as possible.
On that rise to fame, there's still a person behind there. And so what's important to me about this production is we explore and we get a little more of that taste of the woman behind the curtain.
She was incredibly young, and she was also this amazing trailblazer, both for the music industry in general and for women in the music industry particularly. She really had to scrap to get where she was. It's amazing that it took as long as it did for her to hit, and it's such a shame that she died as young as she did.
I think the challenge and the greatness about the show is you have two people in the room. So it's an immense workload on two ferocious actors.
I think it's interesting too because both of us have different one-woman shows. Like hers is mostly vocal and singing, and mine is mostly talking and lines. What feels like two one-woman shows kind of meshed into a show. You kind of have to, I think, figure out your own process and how do you memorize and learn the material and how do you get it in your body. So to be able to walk into rehearsal and have a camaraderie and have like almost like a secret language, like I feel like we kind of can speak in eye movements. It is a really sweet special thing to have, as well as an advantage into hopefully, communicating just the connection and the bond that those two characters had.
Ultimately, I want people to take away from this production remembering a female icon who changed the landscape of country music. She helped bridge into that early what was considered then as the pop genre. And not only was she a ferocious singer, but she was a feminist. She pioneered in being a producer. She was one of the boys, but she also was your gal pal at all the same time. She really was the entire package. And to remember somebody who was a talent that was so authentic and raw in a time that's all about social media and things that are curated, I think it's great to go back and take a look at where all of our roots are from, and that you can be an incredibly talented and homegrown person and be a superstar.
I think it's important, especially in this world that we live in right now, to have stories that we can look back on and feel inspirational and feel warm and feel happy about. And I think that is what this story is. It's about a love of these two friends, and it's also about this woman, Patsy Cline, and her incredible music and the gift of that music.
So what I love about doing theater is the relationships that it lets me build, both with the people that are involved in the show directly, our designers, our directors, fellow actors, musicians, all of that. I also love building relationships with the audience. It's a big deal that people choose to spend their time and their money with us here. Everybody's busy. Everybody has a million things going on. And so for people to make the choice to come and spend time with us matters to me. To get to spend a couple of hours making somebody's life happier and better, that's the best job in the world.
As we continue our journey at Studio Tenn, our family focus is really important, and this is a show that I'm hoping that fans of Patsy, generations that love Patsy Cline, will take their grandsons, will take their granddaughters, and introduce them to this legend who has music that transcends.